Hello and welcome once again to News Unlocked, the show that brings you the news beyond the headlines. Now today we focus on another major issue. With coronavirus cases rampaging across the country, the caseloads rising steadily, the healthcare system in the country has been left to play catch up. One of the key focus areas has been private hospitals. Many of them are being forced by state governments to ensure that they keep their prices down. As a result, some of these hospitals are saying they are running major cash losses. They were not meant to be COVID hospitals, they were meant to be super specialty hospitals. In fact, one of the most prestigious hospitals in the city of Mumbai is now saying that they will shut down if they continue in this manner. On the other hand, there are patients who say that private hospitals need to be reined in because otherwise their bills would be exorbitant. As I said, while most governments have reserved a specific percentage of beds in private hospitals for COVID patients and put a cap on prices, the private healthcare system is saying we are in serious trouble. We cannot fight the COVID war in this manner. Today on News Unlocked, that's what we focus on, the dilemma of private hospitals in the COVID fight. Take a look.
The COVID-19 pandemic has trained healthcare systems everywhere. To cope with the sudden surge of infections, private hospitals in some states were co-opted to join the fight, to treat patients but at government-specified rates. In Maharashtra, the state with the maximum number of coronavirus cases, designated private hospitals have to follow what is termed the 80-20 rule till August 31st. According to this rule, the charges have been capped at specified rates for 80% of the bed capacity of hospitals. For the remaining 20%, the private hospitals have been allowed to set their own rates.
If it continues to happen after 31st, I'm not sure how far all of us will be able to join hands and again continue to fight, and it will be really a tough time for us.
The management of the Breach Candy Hospital is not willing to come on a record on this matter or issue any statement. But if sources are to be believed, then the management is not happy. And reportedly, the management has also said if this rule is not finished and done away with by 31st of August, then they might be forced to shut down some units.
While private hospitals are clearly not happy with this rule, the Maharashtra government has made it clear that action would be initiated against those overcharging patients. The Brihan-Mumbai Municipal Corporation has accordingly cracked the whip on a number of hospitals. The BMC received over 1,115 complaints of inflated bills. Out of these, 625 were received against 37 hospitals. The civic body took action on the complaints and over 1.46 crore rupees was reimbursed to patients who were overcharged. In neighboring Goa, the state government has made it compulsory for all private hospitals to reserve 20% of their total beds for COVID-19 patients and share with the Health Services Directorate details like rates being charged from COVID-19 patients for treatment, accommodation and other procedures. In Delhi state, the per-day rates in hospitals accredited by the National Accreditation Board for Hospitals and Healthcare Providers have been capped at 10,000 rupees for isolation beds, 15,000 rupees for ICU beds without ventilator, and 18,000 rupees for ICU beds with ventilator. In Karnataka, the state government ordered that no private hospital can refuse treatment to patients with COVID-19 and COVID-19-like symptoms. Starting July 19th, the BSY government has also ordered private medical colleges and hospitals to reserve 50% of their beds for COVID patients.
मीटिंग लेने के बाद हम एक डिसीजन ले लिए, जो कुछ भी 50% गवर्नमेंट को वो लोग फैसिलिटेट करना चाहते हैं, वो लोग लिखित के ऊपर हम लिए, राइटिंग के ऊपर लिए. राइटिंग के ऊपर लेने के बाद 99 हॉस्पिटल्स, प्राइवेट हॉस्पिटल्स एंड प्राइवेट मेडिकल कॉलेज दे आर कोऑपरेटिंग. मेरे एक दो कंप्लेंट्स क्या है ऑलरेडी नोटिस भी जब भेजा है, वो लोग कोऑपरेट नहीं करे तो वो लोग का हॉस्पिटल रहते, कॉलेज रहते, वो लोग को लॉकडाउन करेंगे वो लोग को.
Meanwhile, most private hospitals are now mulling over the financial viability of such orders.
So the big question, therefore, have private hospitals opted out of the COVID fight? Are they being unnecessarily overburdened? Is it fair to put price caps, or is it necessary to put price caps on them during a health emergency? Joining me now, Joy Chakraborty, CEO of the Hinduja Hospital, one of the leading hospitals in Mumbai. I'm also joined by Dr. H. Sudarshan Balal, Chairman Manipal Hospitals from Bengaluru, and Dr. Kunal Sarkar, Chief Cardiac Surgeon and Senior Vice Chairman at the Medica Super Specialty Hospital, joins me from Kolkata. Thank you all very much for joining us. Let's start with Mumbai, because it's in Mumbai that the immediate controversy has been triggered off. Breach Candy, seen as one of the country's leading super specialty hospitals, we are told Mr. Chakraborty has threatened that they will stop all services if the capping order is not lifted, and is in some way hospitals are allowed to fix the rates for patients COVID and non-COVID. Is this private hospitals putting up their hands and saying we can't fight this COVID fight while we are being capped on prices by the government?
So, good evening, Rajdeep, and thanks for straight question. And let me tell you that private hospitals in Mumbai, they have joined hands with the government and they have supported for last 4 months. I'm not sure about the facts and figures about Breach Candy Hospital, because you know very well nobody has come forward so far to validate the facts.
It was a front page story in every Mumbai paper yesterday. So clearly the Breach Candy Hospital off the record is saying that this is the message they have sent the government of Maharashtra, that if the order continues beyond August 31st, they will shut shop.
So irrespective of Breach Candy, I can tell you there are many hospitals in Mumbai, they are finding it very difficult to pursue, to run their operation further, for a simple reason that for last 3.5 months, hospital has faced a major challenge of low occupancy. So patients, they have not come to hospital, and whoever has come, 80% of them have availed the government provided rate. At the same time, you must appreciate the fact that there is a huge additional expenses what hospitals are bearing today. And some of those are, if you think about the staffs are not working on regular shifts. Staffs are also required to be provided some sorts of transportation, accommodation. And at the same time, if you think about the personal protective equipments, PPE, so all these are adding, and it is becoming an additional expenses for the hospital when they want to deliver quality care. And as a result of that, this additional financial burden and continuously what we are serving to our patients, to our community, it is really becoming a challenging thing for us. So nevertheless, we are committed to the community, we are committed to our patients, and we'll continue to serve. But it is our request to the government to look into it. And especially in Mumbai, if you notice that the number of cases have come down over a period of time, government has established many centers and there are many vacant beds are there. And if a part of this can be shared there in those facilities.
So you want a new form of a business model. I want to come to you, Doctor.
The private hospitals can be reduced.
Dr. Sudarshan, do you also agree that private hospitals cannot work under government regulated pricing caps? Because the flip side is there are those who say that private hospitals overcharge during a crisis. That's why they needed to be reined in by government. How do you respond?
Good evening, Mr. Desai. It's good to be here, and good evening to my co-panelists too. These are certainly very, very challenging time for all of us. Even though the private sector is reeling under the burden of COVID, subsidizing a portion of our patients and beds for the poor and the underprivileged would be accepted by most of us in these times of a national crisis and in the larger interest of the society. However, sustainability in the long run would be a major issue, since there have been huge decreases in the footfalls, especially of non-COVID patients. and the revenues of hospitals have dropped anywhere between 70 to 80%. We are spending
You've
more.
lost 70 to 80% of revenue, you're telling me? 70 to 80% of your revenue?
The first few months of the lockdown, yes. And this is not just us, it is across the board, I'm sure. The percentages might vary a little bit, but across the board, private sectors have lost huge revenues and cash losses in the first few months of the COVID era. Not only that, most of our costs are fixed costs. So with the decreasing footfalls, it will be a huge, huge financial burden. And we are spending more on our workforce because we need to have a system of making sure that the workforce doesn't suffer if someone becomes ill. And we have to have shift systems because not only the person who's ill, but also the people working with them get quarantined. And the cost of running isolation beds is much higher because of the requirement for PPE and other requirements. This is the only epidemic, believe me, Mr. Sardesai, where actually the healthcare industry is bleeding. So we are fine with supporting the underprivileged for a finite period of time. However, if this continues for a very long period of time, our survival will be at stake. And if we don't survive, obviously we cannot serve the others who need this. One of our suggestions to the government is, based on the situation, consider reducing the number of beds that are subsidized. And also, we don't need to give subsidy to the rich. Right now, the government has capped prices for everyone, whether you're a rich industrialist or a poor daily wager, the prices are the same. So it doesn't make much sense to subsidize the rich. In fact, we should probably cross-subsidize the poor. Hence, let the private sector have some beds where they can charge the rack
So
rates.
how much? At the moment, Dr. Balal, it's 80% of the beds are being taken over by the government for and capping the prices for COVID and non-COVID patients. What would you suggest? 50-50?
Well, in Karnataka, it is 50-50.
In
I think
Maharashtra,
right
it's
now
80-20.
Assess the situation, see how the pandemic pans out, and as the numbers start coming down and as the government infrastructure improves, probably it can come down further.
Dr. Sarkar, do you believe, therefore, that the government intervention in itself in the private sector goes against the very ethos of why the private sector was allowed to enter the hospitals, the health sector? Or do you believe because it's a health emergency, even private hospitals have to fall in line?
Rajdeep, I mean, that's to put things in perspective. You see, the government sector contributes to about 30% of Indian healthcare overall. So the government punches above its weight in Indian healthcare anyway. You know, in which industry have you seen that a 30% stakeholder dominates and controls both the steering, the accelerator, and the brakes of an industry? Well, that discussion can wait for another day. I'll just put you into perspective. The healthcare, you know, what was the 70 days of lockdown for? I believe it was to sort out issues, capacity, costs about healthcare. Look how ridiculous our situation is. A state like Karnataka, with its plethora of healthcare facilities, is being stressed when the total active cases are about something near about 15% of healthcare capacity. Bengal is being stressed when the total capacity, when the number of active cases is 1.5% of its healthcare capacity. At its very peak, Maharashtra had only 50% of active cases regarding its healthcare capacity. So that goes to show, overall, what shabby and shoddy planning we have done, and the entire period of the lockdown, a month and a half, has been wasted. I know doing what, because one of the main purpose of that period of time was to plan out capacity, sort out cost issues. Health is a state subject, and obviously it had to be sorted out state by state. Now, the private sector also cannot walk away without its share of blame. Without the exception of West Bengal, every major state in India, the private sector is twice as big in its capacity as the government sector. So it is inevitable that there would be pressure, there would be demands on the private sector, and the private sector in a consolidated kind of way during the period of lockdown, when we had 500 cases, 1,000 cases, 2,000 cases, as a cohesive unit, should have approached the government And if the government said, look, I want to put the isolation bed rates at 2,000 rupees, the private sector should have said, fair enough. That is the impact on my viability margins, and I expect an overall subsidy of X amount from you. Otherwise, at the end of 1 month, I cannot run my business.
So you're actually saying that
should have been carried out.
You're saying
in
the private sector.
April,
This is what has happened in the UK.
Not in the middle of July, when the entire country is in the middle of a burning inferno. The government has planned badly, and the private sector is feigning innocence, which does not suit it. There is a lot of pretense in the private sector as well, and they are not as naive as they look out to be. So on both sides of the border, we have betrayed our purpose of existence to the Indian people, because even when we say the capacity stress, the figures are in front of us, we have enough redundant capacity in hand. It has been bad planning.
The point, Dr.
Sarkar
Sarkar,
was waiting for tomorrow. The private sector was playing ostrich, shoving its head in the sand. And, were we getting prepared for COVID, or were we getting prepared for scabies? It really leaves me, the rest of the world, I tell you, is half amused and half absolutely bewildered by which this massive healthcare industry of India has responded to it. So I think in every state, even now, before it is too late, we need to meet somewhere in the middle, act sensibly, and sort out this mess.
The fact, though, is, let's talk about what other countries are doing. In the United Kingdom, for example, Mr. Chakraborty, there's been an attempt made to subsidize the private sector, to give the private sector a sense that you are partners, but we will support you. The fact is, here, on the other hand, there has been government diktat that you will now we are taking over 80% of your beds. This is the cap that we have, because there is no faith, according to the government, in private sector ensuring that they will do their bit. There's a lack of trust. Do you agree, Mr. Chakraborty? The Maharashtra government tells me off record that they don't trust that the private sector will adhere to certain norms and regulations. They fear you will overcharge. They fear that you would have used this health emergency for profiteering. What would you tell them today?
So let me assure you that none of the private hospitals are in a motive to make profit, forget about profiteering. So initially in the month of March, when he started the journey and started working with the government.
Wrong. No, Mr. Chakraborty, why not be more honest and say, look, private sector hospitals, super specialty hospitals are built for an entirely different purpose. They are built to, it is a profit enterprise. Why deny that? And then tell the government that. Why not be more upfront?
Exactly. I was coming to that point. I was about to tell that the relationship started in a very nice way, but somewhere around in the mid of May, there this rule which was imposed on us, and subsequently we started, there are auditors, there are IS officers, they have started monitoring the function, and they started checking the bills. But I want to come and focus on a point what has come in the promo of this today, that 1,100 1.4 crores amount of bill amount has been given of 11 to 12,000 per bill, and 11 to 12,000 on an average per bill. Is it the hospitals are making from each patient that they are going to be very big, they are going to be rich enough, they are going to make it sustainable for them? Probably the answer is no. So currently there are different reasons. I'll not say only about the government. There are a lot of political motives and other people behind this, and they are trying to portray in front of the common people that private hospitals are trying to loot or trying to make a lot of money out of this COVID. But believe us, that is not the intention of the private hospitals from Mumbai. And I can tell that 33 big hospitals have joined together and they are supporting government. And none of us are having that motive or working towards this.
I take that point. But the question is the road ahead. Dr. Balal, what is the road ahead? The fact is that the government is also, in a sense, keen to send out the message that they have the COVID situation under control. No one will be denied a hospital bed. So they want to use this pandemic in a way to extend their powers over you. Are you willing for that or not?
Rajdeep, whatever be the situation, the current pandemic can only be won or fought if the private sector and the government join hands and fight it together. Fortunately, in Karnataka, the relationship between the government and the private sector has been reasonably good. Right from day one, the CM and the cabinet have been in consultation with the private sector. Many of us have started COVID-specific hospitals on our own initiatives very early in the course. So I think we need to work together. However, the financial viability of the private sector, which is, as you're aware, built through financing by investors, banks, whatever, and the money has to be returned. So the financial viability of the private sector is something we need to look at in the long run. As I said earlier, we are willing to take a hit in the short run in the interest of the society at large, but this is not sustainable. And if it is not sustainable, then we'll bleed and our survival will be in question. And if we don't survive, obviously we cannot serve anyone who needs it. So at some point, we should relook and see what is the right formula, what kind of subsidy is possible in the private sector, what's not possible. If more subsidies needed, how can the government help in this?
Do you want the government? Do you want the government?
I believe a similar thing has happened in Orissa.
Do you want the government to actually support you? Are you saying the government has to subsidize you?
In case this goes on for longer and our long-term survival gets to be a problem.
Okay, that's interesting that you're saying at some stage you believe the government will have to subsidize you. But, you know, the flip side of that, Mr. Chakrabarti, is that governments will turn around and say, look, during good times you can do what you want. These are not good times. Let me take that to Dr. Sarkar. Dr. Sarkar, you know, governments will say that during good times...
Sorry, I can't hear anybody. There's no sound.
Okay, I'll try and see if I can come back to you in a moment. But you want to take that, Mr. Chakrabarti, that governments say that in good times the private sector has made their profits. Now these are tough times. Now you've got to contribute to the national cause. What will you tell them? I'm afraid that we are having problems with our line. Dr. Balal, I don't know whether you're also frozen.
I can hear you, Rajdeep.
Yeah, great. So why don't you take that? Do you believe that that this is a time where governments, by their very nature, will say, look, these are tough times. In tough times, you've got to, the private sector cannot have it as you have it in good times. This is a very different world. The COVID world, you've got to make sacrifices. What will you tell them? Or will you tell them, please allow market forces to decide this?
Certainly, I think the private sector was built keeping in mind the market forces. But this is a pandemic of unheard proportions, and it's a crisis at the national level. And we really cannot sort of look at only profits at this juncture. We would like to work with the government and certainly serve the underprivileged, but there is an extent to which the private sector can go. Unless we can sustain ourselves financially.
Are you overcharging? Dr. Balal, can you give us a guarantee that private sector will not overcharge if there is no cap?
No, absolutely. Now I think we know the situation. We certainly would not like to overcharge for the underprivileged. But I still believe that people who can afford treatments do not have to be subsidized. In fact, they should be cross-subsidizing the others. We have very, very rich patients now admitted to the hospitals, and we are charging the same that we would charge a laborer who earns his wages on a daily basis. That, to me, there's a total disconnect. Why should the rich be subsidized? It's less like how the Honorable Prime Minister had made gas connections for the rich not to be subsidized. So also, why should care for the rich be subsidized? That money could be used for cross-subsidy of the poor. So we should look at really serving the underprivileged, especially during times of crisis, and some kind of government control about the prices for that sector of the people is necessary. But that too for a finite period of time, because if we are burning cash on a daily basis, the private sector cannot go on forever. We have to pay our salaries, we have to maintain hospitals, we have to maintain our infrastructure, so on and so forth. So this can only happen for a finite period of time. And in the interest of the society, we are willing to do that. But there is a limit beyond which no one can be pushed without collapsing.
I think those are tough words. There is a limit beyond which no one can be pushed without collapsing. We did the show today to tell you the private hospital perspective, because I think it is important to recognize that this is a partnership, and it is only through a partnership of government and private sector healthcare systems that you can win the war against COVID. I appreciate all my guests joining me here today. Let's hope that Breach Candy Hospital doesn't have to shut down and that private sector can work with government in the weeks ahead and find a way out in this battle against COVID. As always, thanks for watching News Without the Noise on News Unlocked. Bye for now.
Hi everyone, Preeti Chaudhary here. Hope you like this video. For latest news and analysis, like and subscribe to the India Today YouTube channel. And don't forget to press the bell icon to stay updated. Thank you for watching.